Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Red Zone Podcast. My name is Nate Coe, and I am once again joined by my lovely, incredible co-host and not entirely not depressed co-host, Riley Davis, to recap a pretty insane rivalry week. Riley, what's going on?
I'm fantastic. As you can see, there's no evidence of what school I go to anywhere in frame. Um,
You're
but
taking a
you know
break, a
what? Screw
hiatus.
Cam Ward. The Jags beat the Titans. Um,
Oh, you beat the JV high school team Titans, the
bro,
worst
this
team
week
in
is
the
gonna be,
league.
but this is the week that's gonna be stressful playing the freaking the Colts. We're both 8-4, 3. So
Eight and
that
four.
this week is gonna be
Wait, no,
stressful.
the Jags are
But
8-3. The Colts are 8-4, I think, or the Jags are,
I
or they're
think
both
so.
8-4. Whatever.
They both have 8 wins.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a big game coming up on Sunday. And that's
Yep.
the only football team that I'm caring about now, mainly because the Carolina Gamecock season is over. Because you don't
Thank
get a
God.
bowl game if you win 4 games. But
Yeah.
anyways, they're both 8-4. Um, we had a guest scheduled this week, but then scheduling conflicts. There we go.
Conflicts.
Yep. Conflicts, conflicts did not really work out. So we're gonna try to schedule for another week. Um,
Potentially next
but I'm very
week.
excited to have that
Potentially.
potentially next week. You're gonna hear a lot about the Arch Hive Manning when when this guest is on. So I know Nate's super excited for that.
I'm so
Um,
excited. We need to get her on after the Heisman has already been decided so she can keep peddling Arch Heisman Manning when he just doesn't win.
just like next year.
Next year's the year.
But yeah, I don't know, because we're not gonna this. My game is not a game we would talk about because it's not a top 25 game in any way at all.
We would always talk about South Carolina games, though.
Well, I know, but I mean, like, if it, yeah. So great
Anyway,
week.
slow news week, huh?
Yeah, nothing really happened this week. I mean,
Yeah,
I guess
no
Jared
coaching
Curtis
changes.
flipped from UGA to Vandy as a
Which, by the
five-star
way,
QB
is
recruit.
insane. Oh, we live in a time period where a five-star quarterback is flipping from Georgia to fucking Vanderbilt. But hey, it's the Diego Pavia effect, I guess. Oh,
I mean,
by
they're
the
gonna have
way,
a gap with him.
speaking of Pavia, you want to hear some stats?
Go for it.
He has hit the Heisman Celly 7 times this year. And
Is
and
he
today,
anybody? Is he
either
even on
today or
anybody's
yesterday.
watch list?
Yeah, he's probably fourth in the Heisman running at the moment.
Oh Lord.
But he's not going to break the top three because the top three is like very easily Julian Sayin, Fernando Mendoza, Jeremiah Love. Um, and it was either today or yesterday.
Well,
He
number
sent
one
out
is Arch Manning.
no.
I have
He
to
sent
make
out
up
a
for the
no.
guess.
He sent out no. He sent out a tweet that was like he said like at Donald Trump make an executive order to change the playoffs to 16 teams because after the playoff rankings that came out last night, Vandy's pretty cooked. So
Vandy's not making it.
we'll talk about the rankings because there's a lot to talk about with the
But there
final
was
rankings.
maybe one thing in the news this week
Oh yeah, John
that maybe
Summerall going to Florida.
nothing else really
Well,
big.
let's talk about the small fish coaching hires before we get to the big one. Um, so there was three kind of main ones in the SEC, which is John Summerall from Tulane going to Florida, which is a very good get for them. Alex Silverfield from Memphis going to Arkansas, which Arkansas fans hate. Um, and they're going to try and like kill him before he even gets there. Because apparently he was on the hot seat with Memphis before this year, and Arkansas got him. Because Arkansas's guy, Alex Golesh, who was supposed to go to Arkansas, he was the coach of USF, went to Auburn, which doesn't make me mad or sad or scared at all. No, I love that we get to play the guy who coached USF into giving me two of the most stressful Alabama games ever, every single year for the next few years because it's Auburn, so they'll fire him eventually.
Yay!
Yeah, that's scary. Um, but the big one, we should probably talk about it. Lane Kiffin leaving Ole Miss to go to LSU. We talked about it last week, and
And we thought he was
I think our
staying.
yeah our relative consensus was that he was staying. because this was like the
Especially
most
because
lane.
this is a freaking 11-1 Ole Miss team currently sitting
Yeah,
pretty well in the playoffs. Like they're
they're the
in the playoffs.
sixth seed. Yeah, they're the
Yeah,
sixth seed at
they're
the moment.
fine. And you're going to freaking how many wins does LSU have this year? Like freaking what the
Seven,
hell?
7 or 8, I think. I think it's seven.
Like
I
I
think they
think it's
finished seven
seven.
and five.
What?
I mean, the logic of
I mean, I
leaving
can think of
a
13 reasons why. About a million of them.
uh,
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 13
because
of them.
okay, so Ole Miss, Lane gets to Ole Miss, turns them around, turns them into a playoff contender, and then right as he accomplishes his goal, fucks off and leaves for a team that is literally like on one of the worst decreases in the SEC at the
Is
moment.
that all?
Like
Well, this is not the first time that he's done that.
no, but Lane had turned a page. He sold us. He found God. He found prayer, and then he did the same fucking shit he did 16 years ago when he left Tennessee to go to USC.
All
This is
of
the
the
exact same
videos
thing,
of people booing the shit out of him when he
but
took
worse.
off to LSU and then landed in LSU is freaking hilarious to me.
This is worse. This is worse than the Tennessee to USC thing because at least Tennessee wasn't a national championship contender. And like to be fair, Ole Miss isn't really a national championship contender, but they're good. Like obviously they're 11-1. They were pretty close to making the SEC championship game. And his statement was hilarious. He just basically said like, "Hey, yeah, fuck the athletic director. Um I mean, the players were telling me they wanted me to coach the rest of the season." And a few players have came out and said that that is not actually what they said and that he's
Of course it
fabricating stuff,
wasn't.
which
I would not want
Lane
that. No,
Kiffin
I can't say that.
lying?
What? But
What?
also, like, it's just ridiculous.
This is insane. This is the stupidest, like, I mean, Lane's gonna lane. Like, we knew Lane is, he's a unique kind of guy. And I mean that not in a nice way. And
He said, I
we're,
saw somewhere where he said, like, he didn't know the numbers the whole time he was making a decision and that he wanted to make it just purely off of, like everything, other
rare, I
factors.
think
And
is
I,
what he said.
I don't believe him for a freaking second.
Yeah, he's
Because what
about to
was
get
his yearly
paid.
salary at freaking Ole Miss? He's getting
I don't
paid
know, but
13 million a year. That's like
he's now the highest
freaking
paid coach
what?
in college football.
I don't believe you for a second if you said that you didn't pay attention to the numbers.
And let's be real. Let's be real.
How'd they give you that number?
I still stand by my take that Lane Kiffin is just a more successful Mark Richt. He is not going to take LSU to the place that they think he's going to take them. And by the way, he didn't bring any of his staff with him or any of his
Well,
important
when he
staff that
does, he'll
anyone thought he
leave.
was. Like Ole
I
Miss
don't
is
think.
keeping their DC because Pete Golding is getting promoted to be interim head coach. Their offensive coordinator is staying after he was literally on the plane with him to LSU, but he's staying at Ole Miss, which means he must know something that is awry already in Baton Rouge. So I would say Ole Miss is like, yeah, it sucks. This sucks for the players, but this is gonna motivate the hell out of Ole Miss, and I see this being like,
The biggest fuck you is them doing so well in the playoffs.
I think they're gonna
Like,
at least get a
so
win.
well. For
The
sure.
current bracket has Ole Miss up against the fourth conference champion, which is either going to be UVA or it's going to be the winner of the AAC. So it's like I don't know. This is insane. Like this is the most like it's just the most insane. It's the most like unsurprisingly surprising thing. Like when I was just at my on Sunday, I was at my dad's birthday party, glued to Twitter, like refreshing over and over again because I needed to know what was going on. And every
See,
time that
I
I would
was at
see a
my
new
cousin's
article,
baby shower. I was at a baby
like
shower,
I would see an
and I
update, it's
literally
like,
talked. I was like, "You think he's leaving?" And like my cousin's husband was like, "Nah, he's staying." Like I think it's just like. And then as I was leaving, I got the Lane Kiffin to LSU. I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me?"
and like there's a thing of like him holding his staff hostage, like pretty much saying like if you don't follow me to LSU, like I'm not bringing you. Like
We talked about it before
it's
recording, but all the freaking memes of Marty Smith of like,
yeah, Marty Smith didn't get to
save
see his
this man.
family for a day and a half.
He's just freaking
It's
trapped.
it's cooked. This whole thing's cooked. I don't think he's gonna fix LSU, if I'm being honest. But well, you want to know the most interesting part about this?
Hmm.
Do you know who's one of LSU's annual opponents?
Is it
Ole
Bama?
Miss,
Oh,
Magnolia Bowl. Next year, LSU at Ole Miss. I don't care what these teams' records are. I don't care if it's SEC bias. If game day is not in Oxford, Mississippi for LSU Ole Miss next year,
what
something has
week would
gone
that be?
horrifically wrong. I don't know. They
No,
haven't
because
released a
that's
schedule
just
yet.
beautiful. That's like reality TV levels
They are
of
going to
like.
need Secret Service level of security around Lane Kiffin that entire weekend to make sure that he doesn't get
Speaking of
like
Secret
killed.
Service level of security, I guess we could maybe talk about it when we talk about the Ole Miss Mississippi State game, but he claimed that Mississippi State fans tried to break into their locker room and steal the
No,
quarterback's
that
jersey.
wasn't a claim. It was true.
It was? Okay, I never saw if it
Because
was true. All I would ever
there's a
see.
video of a Mississippi State fan in the locker room fucking Trinidad Chambliss's jersey, like giving it back shots, and then one of the guys stole the jersey and used it as a rug in his apartment. A few other people got in, like knocked shit over. It's rivalry week perfection.
Lord. I keep seeing freaking videos of like Michigan players like freaking like shoulder checking people.
Tough guy shit to get your ass kicked for 60 minutes. That's unfortunate. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, this lane thing is kind of insane. I think he's probably going to end up bringing Ed Orgeron in, which is going to be just hilarious. Just peak like chaos. I don't think this is going to make LSU any better, which is also good. So so yeah, good
What a
stuff coming out of
freaking fun week that'll be next year.
oh yes it will
We're
be.
just gonna call it
Um
The Kiffin Cup.
Tiffin Cup. That's a good name for it, yeah. Um but let's let's move on now and let's get into the final rankings of the year. Well, I mean, yeah, the final rankings of the year before the
I mean,
playoffs.
yeah, I was gonna say.
And
Well,
we
they'll
learned
do like
and we learned a
conference
lot from this.
championships.
Yeah. We learned a lot from this, and we are really not going to cover anyone outside the top 15 because it doesn't really matter. Like it doesn't like the only teams outside the top 15 that matter are UVA, North Texas, and James Madison and Tulane. But we kind of already know the situation with all those teams. Win your conference champion in your championship and you're in. Or if you're James Madison, hope that God that Duke beats UVA for the ACC. And so let's talk about kind of honestly, let's not even talk about the rankings. Let's just like because at this point we don't need a rankings. We just need to look at the bracket. And first, let's start with the teams that have pretty much been confirmed to be knocked out, barring a miracle. So
Vandy.
those teams will conclude. Yep, Vandy, Texas, Miami, and I think BYU are going to be the four teams that, well, not BYU, because BYU can win the Big 12 and get in. But those are the three teams that need a miracle. And I was talking to a good friend of the pod, Jackson Chapman, on Monday night, and we're talking about Miami fans, Vandy fans, Texas fans being annoyed that they're going to be left out of the playoffs. It's also talking about like Bama getting left out last year with 3 losses. It's really simple. Win the football games in front of you. Since the dawn of time, since literally the dinosaurs, we have been having the same issues with playoffs and the championship game. When this was the BCS, we were always talking about the third and fourth best teams. When it was the 14 playoff, we were talking about the fifth and sixth best teams. Now, in the 12-team playoff, we're talking about the 12th, 13th, and 14th best teams. And if this expands to 16, we're going to be talking about the 17th, 18th, and 19th best teams. Or if it expands to 22, so on, so on, so on. This is just like how college football works. Win your games, get in. Hey, Miami, I know that you're kind of getting screwed right now because head to head means you should be ahead of Notre Dame. But also, want to know something fun? Don't lose to two dog shit ACC teams. Don't lose to SMU. Don't lose to Louisville at home. Like, Vandy, don't lay an egg against Bama and get killed by an awful Texas team at the time. Like, Texas, don't lose 3 games, including a loss to Florida in the swamp. Like, I know they had a hard schedule, but like, don't lose to Florida. Like, if we're being honest, 10-2 Texas is in the playoffs if their 2 losses are only to Ohio State and Georgia. Like, don't lose the games that you're not supposed to like. It's I don't know. All this would be fixed if teams just won games.
But
And it's going to be the same if
that would
Bama
get
gets
rid
left
of
out.
the spark.
Yeah, I guess it would. And
Because
it's
then we
going to be the
wouldn't be
same
able
if
to talk about Texas going into the swamp and losing to Florida.
that is true. But it's going to be the same if Bama gets left out, which like we'll talk about like we can go into it now. Bama is in a really weird situation
I was
where
gonna ask
if a
about that.
lot of things go their way, it's I still need to watch the actual committee show from last night and see what they said about conference champions. But like there is a way where Bama gets knocked out. I think it's
Is it losing the
assuming that
SEC?
they are putting emphasis on championship games and Bama isn't going to be punished for losing, which I think is the right way. And I'm not just saying that because it's Bama. I think any team that is in the playoffs and makes a conference championship game should not be punished for it.
So
And
SMU
I know,
was good last year.
yeah, so last year is the I think last year I was just mad because like obviously that Alabama team was better than that SMU team, but like SMU really, yeah, they should not have been punished. Like Bama deserved to make the like Bama is a better team than SMU last year, but also hey, don't lose to Vanderbilt or Oklahoma, and we would have never have had to have these conversations in the first place. Um, but yeah, I don't think SMU. I'll backtrack. I was wrong about that. SMU should not have been punished last year, and I don't think teams should get punished for making conference championship games. However, there's a way where Bama doesn't get punished for making the conference championship and still gets knocked out anyway, which would be the AAC, which would be Duke beating UVA. And there's a few ways this goes on. Duke beats UVA for the ACC, lets in two group of five teams. I think we can establish that there's no way that 8-5 Duke makes the playoffs.
Is the
With
ACC,
arguably
would it not be? It's
the
not
ACC
Duke, is it?
championship game is UVA Duke. Yes. We are in the chaos
What?
situ. Yeah, we're in the chaos where ACC can't where there's a chance ACC doesn't get a team into the playoffs
Jesus.
by SMU's loss to Cal. Um so this is the
Oh,
situation. I'll run through the scenarios that are kind of the big thing going into this week for championship week. Let's start with Texas Tech wins the Big 12, Duke wins the ACC. That means assuming the playoff committee doesn't give the outright fuck you to James Madison becomes the 12th seed, winner of the AAC becomes the 11th seed. If UVA wins, UVA is the 11th seed, winner of the AAC most likely is going to be the 12th seed. If BYU wins and Duke wins, it'll be AAC winner 12. Yeah. Or maybe, yeah, because a group of five needs to have a rep. I think Bama gets knocked out as an at-large bid if BYU wins the Big 12. Because I think you get BYU or Notre Dame gets knocked out because
I
Bama
was
is
gonna
ahead
say
of
why
Notre
are we?
Dame.
I was gonna say why? Because you'd have to have two teams knocked out for
You'd have
Bama
to
to
have
be
one
knocked out.
team knocked out. Oh, yeah.
Well, like because
So I think
Notre
at
Dame
that
is
point,
10th.
yeah, Notre Dame would get knocked out if BYU and UVA. I think if BYU wins, it doesn't matter what happens with the ACC championship game. So really the big one for seeding is going to be BYU. And Duke to a lesser extent, but that's more about group of five. Texas, like BYU is the only team going into this week that can actively knock other teams out of the playoffs.
If they beat Texas Tech in the Big
Yes,
12.
if they beat Texas Tech in the Big 12. Um, but that's not going to be as easy because Texas Tech is still vying for a top four spot. So, and also Texas Tech, remember, like kicked the shit out of BYU earlier this year. Um,
Also, I would just also like to say, remember how we were talking about the possibility of the SEC championship and how this year, oh my God, it's not going to be like Bama, Georgia. And then it was fucking Bama,
just Bama,
Georgia
Georgia again.
again.
It's
Are
it's
you
it's just the
kidding
equivalent.
me?
It's just the equivalent of the haha you thought it would be different this time. Like,
We were like, oh my God, Ole Miss could be in there. Oh my God, Texas A&M could be in there. Nope. It's the
eh.
same as last year. And then the
So
year
okay. So I don't think there's going to be any change from like 8 on forward, other than like the top four, which is interesting. I don't really know how we're going to seed the top four. Um, I do think it'll be something like this. Winner of Big Ten Championship 1, which is going to be Indiana. Ha ha ha. It's probably not. Winner of Big Ten Championship 1. Georgia if they win the SEC 2. Texas Tech if they win the Big 12 and Georgia loses. Whoever if Georgia and Texas Tech both win, Georgia will be 2. If Texas Tech wins and Georgia loses, Texas Tech will be 2. I think regardless Indiana's 3 or whoever loses the Big 10 is 3 because at that point they will still have the same amount of wins. I think there's a chance you
What if
knock
Georgia
down
and Texas Tech both lose?
and Oregon gets a top 4 bid, I think.
Oh my
I think it
God.
ends up
And Ole
probably
Miss.
no, I think they'd
Because
keep
they're
oh
sixth right now.
I think they'd keep those teams ahead of Ole Miss.
I feel like if Georgia and Texas Tech lost, Georgia would like drop down to four, and then like maybe
You think
Oregon
the
would be
loser
three.
of the Big Ten championship game could drop down to 4? Or do you think that like 3 is the farthest they'll let them, even if Texas Tech and Georgia both
Probably
win?
three because they're both top. I mean, if it's Ohio State loses, they'd definitely just go down to three. But that would be
If
moving them
Indiana
down two
loses,
spots. Like that would be moving Ohio State down two spots. So by default, if you're moving Indiana down two spots as well, that would be four. So like,
the issue is I just don't think you should punish whoever loses the Big Ten championship game into the 4 seed, which is like the 4 seed sucks because you're gonna have to go up against Oregon probably. Um, so I
I mean,
I
you do get a
don't
first round
know.
bye, but you still have to play like the seed closest to you.
Yeah, the 5 seed is always gonna be that's a rough draw. I don't actually know what they'll do. And I'm keeping this for both ways. I don't think the Big Ten champion should be the 4. The Big Ten loser should be the 4 seed. No matter who loses that game. I think if Ohio State loses, they should drop to 3. If Indiana loses, they should also drop to 3. But knowing the playoffs, they'll probably drop them to 4. If it's Ohio State, they'll drop them to 3. If it's Indiana, they'll drop them to 4, which kind of
Well, that's
sucks. But
dropping them the same amount.
yeah. Um, but the playoff, I mean, there's not a lot we can like say
It's all
with
like
like the overall
hypotheticals
ranking.
now
Well,
because
because
of
also like every seed
conference
makes
championships
sense.
haven't happened.
Like everyone
Yeah,
that's in the playoffs makes sense except for like Notre Dame. Like
which
I
is,
still think that BYU or Miami should be that at-large spot instead of Notre Dame, but you can't argue that Notre Dame is playing incredibly good football right now. Like Notre Dame is a
I mean, we
better
talked
football
about it
team than
last week
Miami.
where it's like, why do you like them?
Well, Notre Dame's playing better football than Miami. That's
Mhm.
indefensible. Like Notre Dame is killing opponents, Miami's struggling with some of them. And I think the one thing is 11-1 BYU being left out at the moment, where it's like it's definitely brand bias stopping BYU at the moment. Because like, let's be real, if it was Notre Dame with that 11-1 record, they'd be like the 7 seed right now or the 6 seed or something like that. But it's BYU, so. But there's a lot going. I think there's more questions going into the playoff rankings this year than there was last year. We
Mhm.
know we know that roughly the top 8 is going to remain the same. Oklahoma on up is going to be the same. Like the teams, at least. Not the seeds, because the seeds might change, but the teams. We know that Oklahoma, who's the 7 seed? A&M. Oklahoma, A&M, Ole Miss, Oregon, Texas Tech, Georgia, Indiana, and Ohio State have clinched playoffs. That much is true. No matter what happens in conference championship week, those 8 teams will be in the playoffs. The thing that changes is 9 on back, which is going to be Bama, Notre Dame, and then the 2 conference champions. Um, And it feels good this year to have like actual stakes that like we're not complaining about. Because last year it was like that everyone knew that that Bama team was better than that SMU team, but there wasn't a lot we could do to stop it. So like we got kind of put into a trap. And then Clemson got an auto bid that no one really thought they deserved to get because they won the ACC championship game. But
Now
this
that's
year,
6 and oh no, now they're 7-5.
this year, I think everyone that makes the playoffs will deserve it. I think even if it ends up being 2 group of 5 teams, because James Madison's gone 11-1 with wins over power conference teams. Tulane has run through a very hard AAC. So is North Texas. So no matter what happens with the group of 5, we know that we will get a worthy like champion out of that. BYU, if they win the Big 12, they 100% deserve to make it. UVA, I think, is the one team that doesn't deserve to make it, even if they win their conference. Like because the ACC is such a shithole, and all they'll have to do is beat a 7-5 Duke team that lost to
I
UConn.
was gonna say, what if Duke makes it?
Duke can't make it. Duke, I am writing that off. We're stopping. We're nipping into the bud. 8-5 Duke. If they make the playoffs, fucking explode the format. Like
What
I
would,
will,
why? That would
I
make
will,
zero
I
sense.
will crash out harder than anyone has ever crashed out ever on this podcast next week if Duke wins the ACC and makes the playoffs over James Madison. Because that will be that at that point that will be it. It will be assuming that BYU we're assuming that BYU winning does not really affect might affect the group of five. Who knows? There's too much going into it, but let's take BYU out of the assuming that Texas Tech beats BYU. It ends up being either Duke or James Madison. If it becomes Duke, I'm killing like someone, probably myself if that happens. I'm exploding
Don't
this
do that.
format. I'm doing I'm nuking the earth if Duke makes the playoffs over James Madison. That will be the biggest injustice to any football team that is worse than FSU getting jumped for Alabama. Anyway,
Yeah,
that's not going to happen. They're not that stupid. I think. I hope.
you would hope.
God, I hope they're not that stupid. Um but yeah, a lot of intrigue going into next week. Do we want to give our final predictions for what we think the last like four seeds are going to be?
Um, I think Alabama's staying, honestly.
I agree.
And I feel like it's probably gonna be, see, BYU is the weird part for me if they won.
BYU wins, they get in the 10 seed, and then Notre Dame gets kicked.
Yeah, but then who's the 11 and the 12 seed? Oh, because it has to be a group of
Oh
five.
wait, yeah, Notre Dame's screwed if BYU wins because remember it's the top five conference champions, and
Yeah,
that's just and that would be at that point that would be it would be winner of Big Ten, winner of SEC, BYU, and then if Duke beats UVA, Sun Belt, AAC. If Duke doesn't, if even if UVA wins, that's still ACC, AAC. So
yeah,
yeah,
no,
Notre Dame's screwed.
yeah,
Notre Dame really needs BYU to lose.
yeah.
Let's just say I'm standing with the Mormons this week.
You know, the guest asked if Mormons would come up on the episode that show me on. I was like, probably,
Probably. Well,
probably.
we need the Mormon. I'd rather have the Mormons than the Catholics.
Dang.
That was a more religiously charged statement than I thought it would be. But
I was gonna say, I'm like, I'm not
that's
gonna
not
speak on
that's
that.
not my religious view, by the way. I was just saying because Notre Dame is like known as the Catholics and BYU is known as the Mormons.
They're the
I
Irish.
I don't
We
care
know
enough
your
about.
opinion on the Irish.
Oh, okay. Don't just put me in there. You were peddling that same shit last year.
I was peddling they're trying to take over America by defeating the armed
I never said
forces
I
thing.
hated the Irish. I just said they were trying
No,
to
but
take
then you went on that
overtake.
tangent that I literally am
Oh,
sitting
about
there
putting
going,
the leprechauns
"Don't shush,
in
shush, shush,
cages.
shush, shush, shush." And I was like, "Stop tugging
About
the
putting
whole
gingers in
time."
cages.
God, yeah, and I was like going, "Shut up, shut up, shut up. This is terrible."
Well, that was the same episode that you said that stereotypes were good.
No, what crack was in the
Guys,
water that episode?
stereotypes are sometimes okay. Guys, I'm
I
a
didn't say they were
stereotype
okay.
myself. Yes, you said that they are right, which is
That
arguably
which doesn't
worse.
mean that they're okay.
That's arguably worse.
No, those are different things. And it was sometimes. There was a sometimes in there. Sometimes it's emphasis on some.
Anyway, um,
Lord.
my prediction is that max chaos. BYU wins, Duke wins, JMU and winner of the AAC get in. Also,
That
assuming this
would
is
leave
that
y'all
JMU
out.
beats. This is assuming that no, that wouldn't. It would leave
If
Notre
Duke
Dame out.
wins?
Yeah, it would leave Notre
You
Dame
just
out,
said
not
if
Bama,
Duke
because there still
wins,
needs to
that
be.
Bama would be screwed.
No, I said if Duke wins, Notre Dame would be screwed,
Hmm.
and
So
if BYU wins.
okay.
Well, because we know that 11 and 12 will be the ACC winner or the two group of fives. It's just the 10 seed would probably end up. Bama would probably drop to the 10 seed, and BYU would get up to like the 9 seed, and then Notre Dame would get dropped out. Okay, I've talked myself into thinking Bama's fine no matter what happens this weekend, which is probably gonna bite me in the ass,
I
but
think they're
we'll
fine.
see. Let's get
I was
into
gonna say it's
games.
Bama, but that didn't like stand up last year. So, but
Let's get
last year
into the
was
games. Let's get into the games.
yay.
I'll start with Old Oak and Bucket, IU Purdue. Um, I think we found out that Fernando Mendoza is not very useful when the cold is around. He was kind of dog shit in the first half of this game. But it ended up not mattering because the running game could pretty much do whatever they wanted. I think we ended up running for like 300 something yards on the ground, and like most of it was in the first half. Um, I mean, other than that, I thought this was definitely a team that had the eyes forward to the Big Ten championship game. They didn't like they kind of overlooked Purdue a little bit, which ended up in them kind of getting punched in the mouth for a majority of the first half. I still think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine for the Big Ten championship game, but this was definitely another week when we've been kind of talking about this Indiana team potentially taking their foot off the pedal a little bit. Um, but I think at the end of the day, it'll probably be good. Always nice to get the Old Oaken bucket and to complete the first ever undefeated regular season in Indiana program history, which is like, I'll get a little sentimental here. I'm like a new Hoosier. I didn't really care about this team until I came to college. But I know a lot of people who have been born and raised in Bloomington, born and raised in Indiana, like born and raised Indiana fans, who have just waited for this team to do this, like thought that it was going to be impossible that this team could ever rise to this kind of like place. And it's cool. Like this means a lot to this state, and it's kind of hard for anyone to like grasp that unless you're in Bloomington, in Indiana proper. But as someone who's on the ground here, this football team is real special to the city of Bloomington, to a lot of people who are in Indiana as a whole. Um, Regardless of what happens the next month, if this is like incredibly successful. Like I'm very proud of this team. I love this team to death. Like I think I love this team more than I did the one last year. Like I just this team is like real special. And no matter what happens for the rest of the year, this is cool. Like it's fun to have our town kind of taken over by IU football. It's we're gonna have a real presence in Indy for the Big Ten championship game this week. That is um, impossible to argue. But yeah, just really cool to be here for this team. To see the impact they have on the community here. And yeah, it's cool. I'm very happy with this. Undefeated regular season. Let's fix some issues with the O line and Fernando playing in the cold, which hopefully he won't have to do for the rest of the year unless we make the. To be fair, Fernando's only going to have to play one outside game for the rest of the year, and that would be if we made the national championship. So we'll probably be fine. Um, but yeah, overall, defense played well again. Purdue's not very good, but yeah. You want to talk about the Palmetto Bowl, or do you want to just skip it?
I mean, obviously, I can't say my full thoughts.
I know your full
So,
thoughts.
yeah. I mean, I have more depressing thoughts that I'll maybe tell you after. But, like, fully felt like I was trapped in the stadium, actually. Legitimately. I wanted to leave after halftime. And I can't do that. So, I guess I'll just start about the first half, you know, looked like a better team, looked more locked in, like, since it was rivalry week, deciding to, wake up. Um, and for a minute it looked okay. Um, Side note, I got to meet some of the Clemson band and they were very nice. I told them good luck at like halftime, but not the game because the game was different. But and then people were mad at us. People were mad at the bands for mingling and meeting each other because apparently that was bad. And I'm like, guys, that did not affect the game in any way. But whatever. Um, yeah, this was not a good football game. Like even objectively, I feel like just not good at all. And like so, I don't know. Lost at home. We haven't beat Clemson at home since 2013, which is a lovely stat.
You
I
know
don't
that
know what it is,
the home team hasn't won the Palmetto Bowl since 2019.
which is weird. Like, can we just get our shit
Yeah.
together? But still, um, so I guess that means next year we're winning. But who freaking knows with the state of this team as it is right now? We had 41 rushing yards, which is just fantastic. Um, but I don't know. We've talked about it a lot, how Sellers has regressed, and that has not like shown more than this game right here with two interceptions at perhaps the worst of times. And when I tell you this stadium was full for the entire game until right after, like, I think it was in the third, or no, it was the fourth quarter when, was it the fourth? I want to say it was like, it was kind of like we still had a chance and we were going on a drive. And then Sellers threw the touchdown or the interception that literally everyone left after that. So like first quarter was freaking horrendous with like punt, 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 fumble, interception, punt. And then like we both kind of started to get our like shit together. This was like I think it was I got texted a quote from Dabo Sweeney that was like something about like this is such a sad game. Um yeah, saying we've had two of the worst teams I've ever seen. So honestly, you heard it from the man himself. Yeah, it was in the fourth quarter after we had just gotten the ball back from Clemson because they had punted and it was 20 to 14 and then we threw an interception and that basically that was it. There was a interception return for a touchdown and they ended up getting a 2-point conversion as well. And so that was the moment that everyone pretty much cleared out of the stadium. And it's kind of, I would say, the opposite effect that you were talking about, where you were talking about how like it's brought this pride in and like everyone's so like proud to be here and excited. I would say I actively witnessed a reversal of that. Um, because one thing that I think that everyone can attest to is that Gamecock fans are like diehard fans. Like it doesn't matter how bad we are, they will always show up. Like even in like the freaking Coastal week, people showed up, and it's like, of course, it's like people who like the tickets are way cheaper because we were bad, and also it's Coastal. But like people still showed up, and people like showed up and showed out, and people of course showed up and showed out for Rivalry Week, and people were there, and it was packed. Student section was packed, and it was packed up until the fourth quarter. And just watching everyone leave in the fourth quarter was very disheartening. And so it was very, very much the opposite of what you were experiencing, where it's like actively watching a fan base lose hope. And I didn't get to watch. What I really wanted to was watch the post press conference after this game because I really wanted to know what was being said about this because I don't know if I've talked about it on here, but we've definitely texted about it where Shane literally said next year we're looking where we are in the playoffs. And honestly, from where we left this season, we're 4-8. I don't see a playoff realistically next year. I mean, the crazier things have happened. Crazier things have happened, but nothing about this year has told me that that's the reasonable and realistic next step for us at all. So I would just say it's like truly horrendous football game. And Sellers is now, I mean, we have talked about the regression of him through this year, and at this point, it's just like too far gone, like damage is done. But I mean, he's probably not coming back next year because someone asked him that, and he said, "Well, I'll make my decision when I make when it's time to make my decision." So who knows? I guess we're starting like basically not from scratch, but like we're starting like bare bones up next year because like we have a new O-line coach, a new offensive coordinator, and probably a new quarterback as well. So, who knows what'll happen, but truly a rough season. So, yeah, I don't know. I got nothing else to say except like, because, like we talked about, Shula was a big problem, but then at this point, we've had 3 games without him. So, what more can you do? Um, and so I know, I mean, I guess like we had him and the damage was done for as long as he was here, but still, you know, who knows? But yeah, rough week for Gamecocks, and I gotta figure out a team to cheer for in the playoffs. But It's not gonna be
Indiana.
Indiana. Um, just out of
Why?
pettiness. Out of pettiness.
Why? Okay, well, fuck you. I'm glad your season went poorly.
Thanks. I literally came home one Saturday. I was like, that. I mean, I showed Nate the absolutely horrendous text that I sent my
Oh
parents.
yeah, you
In
cannot say that on here.
no, I cannot. But like in all caps and like truly crashing out. Um, I'm not having a good time.
I
But who knows?
you, you should you should root for IU. We're fun to watch.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I
We're a
don't
good
really.
underdog story.
Maybe I'll just cheer for.
Also, you
You're
want
an
me to be
underdog
happy,
this
right?
year. You're not an
Yeah, we
underdog
are.
this year.
People thought we
You're
were
the
gonna
two
suck this year.
seed.
We were.
You're the two
That doesn't.
seed.
That doesn't mean that all of a sudden we lose all that shit. Before this year, we were the underdog, and we have continued to be that throughout up until I think we beat Oregon, and then everyone was like, "Oh yeah, they're kind of good." But also, everyone thinks we're going to lose to Ohio State, and everyone's like, "There's still a bunch of people that don't think we're legit." So
Oh, no, I think y'all are fine. Like, genuinely. Hello? Maybe it's because I'm not an IU fan that I'm not worried about y'all in any way, but I think y'all make it to the championship. Whether or not you win it, I don't know. But, like, I think you're fine. Like, genuinely.
yeah,
Also, we both have gum.
um, we do
What a
both have gum.
coincidence.
I guess talk about the Iron Bowl now. Um,
Have fun.
yeah, because I don't really have anything to say about South Carolina other than just they really do need to move on from Sellers. They need to move on from pretty much everyone on the team at the moment. This is just a cursed. I think they need to move on
It's
from.
truly crazy.
I think they need to move on from Beamer as well. I don't think he's going to
I
take
would
that team
disagree
anywhere.
strictly because this year is not the year for us to be missing a
That's fine,
head
but next
coach.
year. Um, Iron Bowl. This game sucked, and this Alabama team kind of sucks. Um, I'm gonna say what I said to my dad after Auburn tied the game at 20, which I agree with. By the way, even though we won and we went on that insane drive, I agree with this. This is the same Alabama team that was in Florida State week one. Like this, they make the same mistakes. They have not fixed a lot of the issues that were present during that game. I don't know who to blame. Ty has regressed pretty badly this year. And if we're being honest, this is the same Bama team that had all the issues last year. Like a lot of the stuff that we talked about during the Bama losses are the same things I talked about last year and the same things I talked about this year. And it's a sloppy football team, incredibly inconsistent. Um, I think Ty needs to fix this nasty habit he has of letting the play clock get too low and then just calling a timeout. Because like if we had gotten into the weeds in this game and like needed to start calling timeouts against Auburn, we would have been fucked because we used two of them in the third quarter for some reason. So I don't know. I thought Ty was pretty bad this game. I thought at least the running game was pretty good. It was like the first time that was ever working. The O line was fine. The defense was fine. They were good. They were good. The defense was good. Um, but it was another one of those where the defense kept giving the offense opportunity after opportunity after opportunity that the offense just wasn't capitalizing on. And I I will say there were some things that I liked in this game. I thought the overall offensive aggressiveness was much better than before. They did a very good job of keeping the crowd out of it when they were on top. But like the decision to go for it on 4th and 2, I love to score the touchdown at the end of the game. Um, I thought Isaiah Horton played very well. Obviously, he had the 3 touchdowns. I thought Zabian Brown was the best player on the field for both teams. Locked Cam Coleman down, which was very nice. Given that I think Zabian's been probably one of our best defensive players this year, so it was nice to see him fully get into it. As well as Deontay Lawson, Bray Hubbard with the fumble and the interception. Also a great game from him. But I don't know. This is an incredibly frustrating Alabama team. I don't see them beating Georgia this week, which like I can count on two hands the amount of times I've come out of an Iron Bowl being like, oh man, this Alabama team's really frustrating. They're gonna get their ass kicked by Georgia and then they win. But like I don't know. I usually when that happens, it's because this team has like looked good the whole year, but then sucked in the Iron Bowl, and I'm like, oh, that sucks. But this team's just kind of looked mid the entire year since. I mean, not the entire year, really since they beat really since they beat Tennessee. It's been a lot of kind of just iffy games. I don't know. They're gonna need to shape up for Georgia because I don't think they're gonna be able to beat Georgia twice in a single year. If they do, by the way, that will be hilarious. But I don't actually think it's going to happen.
This is like last year when we were like, you think Texas could beat Georgia this time?
Um, this team's just annoying. I still like I'm still committed to them, but I've found myself harder to buy in with this team this year because like I just don't see them fixing any of the issues that they've had for the last 2 years, and whether or not that's a DeBoer issue or something, I don't really know. But
Hey, he keeps wearing the black hoodie. They're fine.
he lost in the black hoodie twice this year.
He
I think both
has.
games. The black
Wait,
hoodie thing
one.
bullshit. He's worn it literally every single game this year. They're like, "Oh, look at the record. Alabama's 10-2 this year when he wears the black hoodie because he's worn it in like every single game this year." So it's like
Hey, so he's won
whatever.
10 games with the black hoodie.
Yeah, he's also lost two. Whatever. It's fine. I have a hard
Imagine
time
being
fully
10 and
buying
2.
into this
10
team.
and 2 must be nice, Nathan. Imagine being 4 and 8.
No, I won't imagine it. That sucks.
Also, my question for you this game is how good did it feel to have Auburn fumble with 33 seconds left?
Incredible.
I feel like
Fuck the
truly
Barners.
if I was an Auburn fan, I would have been like
That was such a painful
on
way
the
for Auburn to
ground.
lose this game.
So
But
painful. Like I would have
yeah,
been
I
like
don't know.
fallen to the floor.
We were 4 for 17 on third down, so like need to fix that before Georgia. Really, there's like 1,000 things I need to fix before Georgia, but right now I'll just keep it to that. Yeah, they'll probably make the playoffs regardless, unless Georgia like completely kills them. Um, because I can see a world where Bama gets like their ass kicked and then gets like knocked out of the playoffs.
I
But
was gonna say worst case scenario for Bama is lose the SEC, Duke wins, BYU wins, and it would just be like absolute chaos has
it's
to
not making
occur.
the playoffs no matter what happens.
Well, no, but it would disrupt some things for
I
y'all.
well, I don't actually think so. I think the only way that Bama can get knocked out is off of their own intuition. Because even if BYU wins, even if Duke wins, we know that there's like Bama's ahead of the two conference championship slots. BYU, if they jump anyone, would jump Texas, would jump Notre Dame. So like unless they keep Notre Dame ahead of Alabama, which would be stupid unless Bama gets their ass kicked. But whatever, that's more rankings
I
talk.
genuinely just think y'all are fine. Like I think y'all are
Probably.
good.
Let's go down to the Lone Star Showdown or whatever they call this game. As once again, the Red Zone podcast wins again. Texas not destroys, but definitely big brothers. Texas A&M beats them 27-17 in a game where A&M just looked lost. Looked like a
I
team
thought
that
that
had
there was
not.
genuinely, if there was any year for A&M to be like not little brother, it probably would have been this
They put
one.
up a much better effort last year than they did this year, and they're a better team this year than they were last year. They
Truly
got
crazy. This wasn't in College
systematically
Station, was
killed.
it?
Nope, it was in DKR.
Okay, good. I was like, that would have been crazier.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, just Texas's defense was all over the place. Um, after the first half, A&M could do nothing. It was
Arch
one way
Heisman Manning,
traffic,
bro, reigns
and he
supreme.
was fine. He was good. He did what he needed to do.
Yeah, solid
Um,
performance.
Solid game. Um, yeah, just Texas A&M is just always little brother. I think that is just is now. Somehow, despite A&M not losing 4 games, battered Aggie syndrome has returned pretty massively because this was just bad. This was they got outplayed. They got ran off the field by their biggest rival again. I thought
Themselves.
Marcel Reed wasn't very good. And to be fair, we were talking about this A&M team, and like they have not beaten a team in the top half of the SEC. Like they don't have a lot of good wins this year, other than Notre Dame. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens with them come playoffs. Um, and a good way for them to choke the SEC championship game out of their grasps. Um, all right, Georgia Tech, clean old fashioned hate. I am not calling
I
it the
thought this would
Invesco
be
QQQ.
so much better than it
This game
was.
sucked.
This game
This
had
game
one touchdown the
Game
whole
was
game.
boring as hell. You know what was funny about this game? Georgia Tech's defense has been awful the last few weeks. Like dog shit while their offense is like top in the country. Their offense could not do anything here and their defense was like insane.
Gunnar
And it ended
Stockton
up
threw
like
for 70 yards.
and like 30 of those were on the last possession. Like deep in the fourth quarter, he had 38 passing yards. Um, I mean, Georgia didn't look great, but like there was never a point in this game when I thought Georgia was going to lose.
No.
Like
I thought this was
the scoreline makes this game feel a lot closer than it was. This was just one-way traffic. Like
and the
Georgia,
score line even isn't that close.
it's a touchdown. But like Tech had a chance at a Hail Mary at the end to tie the game that Georgia batted down. But like this is a disappointing season for Tech, which I know is kind of insane to say, knowing that they finished 9-3. But like, given where they were, like this is
At the
disappointing.
beginning
There's
of the
no
season, everyone was like, "Oh my God." I thought this game
this
was
is
gonna be really good, and it was
Haynes
overall
King.
just
Haynes King is
boring as hell.
just a glorified running back at this point. Like he's just not very good at throwing the ball. Um, yeah, just bad for Georgia Tech. The best chance they've had at beating Georgia in years, and they just kind of got their ass kicked.
They had a better chance
Um,
last year.
yeah.
Freaking 8
Um,
overtimes.
I guess what I have to say about this game is never hold it at Mercedes-Benz ever again. Atmosphere did not feel the same. Game did not feel the same. It didn't feel like a
Make it a
rivalry
true
game.
home game.
It just felt bad. If I hear someone dead ass call it the Invesco QQQ Atlanta Football Classic or whatever the fuck they were calling it, I will deck them in the face.
Yeah.
Um,
But also, Georgia plays two games in a row now in Mercedes-Benz.
yeah,
So that's fun.
whatever. Georgia looked fine. I'm not taking anything into them. Like, yeah, their offense looked kind of dog shit, but it's a rivalry game. They'll be fine. Egg Bowl. Ole Miss beats Mississippi State 38-19. I mean, we kind of covered it when we were talking about the lane stuff, but Ole Miss, nothing really to say here. Dominated Mississippi State. There was a fight, which was cool. Um,
Always cool when there's a
but
fight.
other than that, one-way traffic. Ole Miss looking real good going into the playoffs. But we'll see what happens with
Without their coach.
obviously all of the chaos.
Hey, but the
Utah
players
beat.
wanted him to coach.
I know Utah beats Kansas 31-21 behind. Needed a fourth quarter comeback to do it, which is the second time in a row Utah's needed like a big fourth quarter comeback to beat a kind of
Which
shitty
it
Big
is a
12 team.
big fourth quarter because they scored the entirety of Kansas's points in the fourth quarter.
Utah's gonna miss the playoffs. This is a weird season for them where it's like it just what could have been. If one of those conference games went the other way, you could potentially see Utah as an at-large bid. But that's not gonna end up panning out. Arizona beats Arizona State in the Territorial Cup 23-7. Once again, another one-way traffic. Arizona State never looked like they were in this game. They seemed like a team that really needed Sam Levitt at quarterback. Um, Noah
Walt Disney
Fafita
didn't
played.
help them.
No, Walt Disney did not help them. Noah Fafita played really well. Arizona came back in the second half. Yeah, not much else to say from the Territorial Cup. Let's talk about the game. Ohio State beats Michigan 29-7 in the snow. And
Which is like the first time in
yeah,
4 years.
we had said that this seemed like one of those games that Michigan would be able to come out on top on. And for a bit, it looked like that. Michigan was dominating Ohio State in the trenches, but Ohio State adjusted, did what they should have done last year, and just let their quarterback throw the ball, especially to Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. Um, and after halftime, there was no question of who was going to win this game. This was a demoralizing loss for Michigan, where Ohio State was literally able to do whatever they wanted to do against this team. Um, a team that acted like tough guys before the game, but was just when the whistle blew, this Michigan team looked out of their league.
I
And
forgot
it's
who
what
it
we've been
was who
saying.
like walked
Headbutted
by
the
Julian.
referee.
Well, not that. I think it was him actually who walked.
It was the guy
He
who bumped
passed
Saying was the
Julian
guy who
saying,
headbutted the
and he
referee.
didn't like. And then they got 0 sacks. It's like that was the first time that someone in Michigan touched the
Touch
quarterback.
Saying the whole day. I just want to like Michigan's offensive coordinator is an idiot. Like Bryce Underwood had like 30 passing yards, like almost the whole game. Like I think he threw three passes for like a majority of the first half. Michigan's offense could not do a single thing unless the running game was working and the running and like they got pulled down on it. I thought I just thought that the offensive play calling was atrocious for Michigan. It was like run on first down, gets nothing. Run on second down, gets nothing. Obvious passing situation doesn't work because of course it doesn't. Um, and yeah, just dominating from Ohio State, something they needed to do over this Michigan team that's been giving them fits. Um, a little upset we didn't get a big brawl in this game, but there were a lot of like mini fights. Um, Michigan acted like bitches at the end of the game and decided to like act tough and guard the midfield logo. But like all it did was just allow Ohio State players to go celebrate with the fans in the stands, which was like much more cool. Like it's a very cool picture of like the Michigan players guarding the logo, looking at the Ohio State players in the stands. It's a little
They're just like
aura. It's a little
lonely.
aura. Um, but yeah, this one-way traffic. Ohio State's the best team in the country, and it's not even close. They have the best defense in the country. They have a top five offense in the country. They
How you
have the
feeling about
two best
next
wide
week?
receivers in the country. I'm feeling fine about next week. It's like well, we'll talk about it when we preview the game. I do have some thoughts on what I think is going to happen there. But Ohio State's very good, best team in the country, without a doubt. Texas Tech beats West Virginia 49 nothing, whatever. Oregon beats Washington 26 to
Whatever. That's not what
14.
we say here.
Who cares?
There you go.
Oregon beats Washington 26 to 14. Did you see the catch from this game? The guy that like had the ball against his helmet that like it got
Yes.
overturned, but it like looked really cool.
Yes.
Um,
Didn't
this
have
this
it.
is this is an Oregon team starting to play good football, their best football towards the end of the year. This is a big win for them because they one don't beat Washington and two don't beat Washington in Seattle. So like good for Oregon to get this out of the way. Um, and they still continue to have the best uniforms in college football.
Feathers.
Oklahoma barely gets past LSU 17 to 13.
It's because I knew Kiffin was coming.
It looked bad. Oklahoma looked bad in this game. Like they did not look like a team that's going to go very far in the playoffs.
No, not if you can't convincingly beat 7-5 LSU. Or I guess
Just
at this
off
point they're
offense
like
was just kind of like
7-4.
non-existent. Um, Mateer looked fine, but not good enough to beat a good team. Like I think if Oklahoma played like this against any of the top playoff teams going into that, they would have lost. So I don't know. They need to shape up before the playoffs. Definitely.
Hmm.
Notre Dame beat Stanford 49 to 20. Riley.
Yes.
Good. BYU beat UCF 41 to 17, 41 to 21. Who cares? Miami beat Pitt
Beautiful.
38 to 7. Um, this was dominating from Miami. What they needed to do to at least try and put some sort of resume into the playoffs, but they're cooked. It's going to be a disappointing end to this year for Miami. Um, but hey, don't lose to SMU and Louisville.
Especially with Carson Beck.
I
You're
know
turning a new page.
we're not going to get Miami versus Georgia in the playoffs, which is I was like really hoping was going to happen.
Yeah, it would have been cool.
Good things don't happen in this world. Vandy beats just dog walks Tennessee 45 to 24. Behind like I think it was ended up being like 350 rushing yards. Um, yeah, we'll say it. Pavia played really well. Whatever. Screw that guy. Um, but let's talk about the real thing here. Tennessee sucks. Their defense is atrocious. Their offense can't do anything. Joey Aguilar's a fraud. Oh man. Oh, it's so beautiful seeing Tennessee suck dick.
Well, also their
Anyway,
second half was horrendous. Vandy was just able to do anything that they wanted to do.
literally every week we've talked about Tennessee. We're like, yeah, their defense is really bad, and it just didn't get better the whole year. It just continued to be dog shit.
Yeah, and then Vandy
So
just did whatever in the second half.
yeah, Vandy did
No
whatever they
stopping.
wanted behind a really good rushing attack. But they will also probably miss the playoffs. So whatever. USC beats UCLA 29 to 10 in what will continue to be the greatest uniform matchup in all of rivalry week as they both wear their like blue and red and it looks really cool.
So like a
Um,
classic matchup.
it is. UVA beat Virginia Tech really easily in the Commonwealth Cup. Um,
Speaking of Virginia Tech, our
yeah.
men's basketball team played them last night. And honestly, okay, our men's basketball team was pretty abysmal last year. But we freaking lost by like it was like by two or maybe even by one in overtime last night. And I missed the second half of this game because I had to leave early. And that was disappointing, but it was honestly a pretty good game. And so, you know what? Shout out to our men's basketball team for really turning it around this year. And I feel really proud of them. Anyways, carry on.
The only thing I saw from that game was that South Carolina did something called like the 6-7 contest. So
Yeah,
you guys deserve to be defunded as a university because of that.
that's so mean.
Well,
No, it's not a
don't do
contest.
six.
It's
Spot the
a
6-7 or
ticket
whatever it
deal.
was.
No, it's a ticketing deal.
Oh, that's lame. Um, and then the funniest thing to happen during rivalry week as Cal beat SMU 38-35, letting 7-5 Duke into the ACC championship game. Um, Cal was like pretty much winning the entire game. SMU pulled on like a insane comeback, got the lead, immediately allowed Cal to go right down the field, score a touchdown. SMU goes down the field, shanks a 50-yard field goal, and now we are in the chaos where the ACC might not get a team into the playoffs,
Which is wild. Because
which
last
is
year they had
insane.
like two.
We get five conference champions, and the ACC might not even get a team in.
Which is wild.
Was
Truly
all of
wild.
this worth? Was all of this worth killing the Pac-12?
No.
Exactly.
Was all of this worth Was it worth killing the Pac-12 to leave the ACC out? I mean, goodbye, Clemson. Fuck off. At least they get a
Clemson was
bowl
never gonna.
game. That must be nice.
They're gonna make the Duke's Mayo Bowl. It's gonna be awesome.
I've won the Duke's Mayo Bowl.
And then finally, Tulane beat Charlotte 27-0. I guess we'll also mention James Madison and North Texas both cruised pretty easily through both of their games. So cool, good for them for the group of five. All right,
Next
let's
week.
preview championship week. A lot of
Mm.
important games here. We'll start with the Sun Belt Championship as Troy travels to play at James Madison in Harrisonburg. I do think James Madison will handle business here and win pretty easily.
Fair enough. I would think so as
Um,
well.
Must watch television on Friday night in Ullman Stadium in New Orleans, North Texas at Tulane for the group of five spot. No matter what happens, this is for the group of five. Even if Duke wins, the AAC is getting one team, and it's whoever wins this game. This is going to be an offensive shootout. Both these teams are very fun to watch. This is going to be an incredibly fun game. Like this is appointment viewing. I'm going to say I got North Texas. I think that their
I'm
offense
taking
is going to be
Tulane.
too much.
The
I think
green
their
wave,
offense is going
right?
to be too much. Yep. I think their offense is going to be too much for Tulane to handle. And I think we are going to see North Texas make the playoffs, which is going to be pretty
Really.
cool.
I'm voting
Um,
Tulane for their uniforms. I want to see him in there.
yeah. 12 o'clock on ABC, BYU Texas Tech in Dallas for the Big 12 championship. I'm going to go Texas Tech. I don't think that BYU is going to be able to make enough of an adjustment from, I think it was like 4 weeks ago to now. And I think it'll be closer, but I do think Texas Tech will pull away towards the end.
I agree. Takes got it.
At 4 o'clock on
Although I
ABC
feel like
in,
sorry. I was just gonna say I
oh,
don't think it's
wait,
gonna be that close, but I still got Texas Tech.
4 o'clock on ABC for the SEC in Mercedes-Benz, Georgia. Once again, it's Georgia versus Alabama. Um, I have Georgia winning pretty convincingly. I think they pull away in the second half. I think Bama keeps it close for. I think we keep it close for a half. Georgia pulls away at the end.
I don't know because we
But
said that Georgia was winning the regular season game, and then that did not end up being the
no,
case. So
but I do think this is
no,
a
I could
worse
see it going
Alabama
either
team than
way.
walked into Sanford.
Fair enough.
Or
I
actually,
mean, they
probably
got a
equal
week
team
to
that
get it
walked into
together.
Sanford. We'll see. I think the big key here is limiting Georgia's offense. That's what worked for us in the game at Sanford. Is that even when our offense went dry in the second half, we had enough of a lead to where it didn't matter. Um,
Yeah.
I'm going to remain by this point that I don't think Georgia's offense is incredibly good, but they're
Mhm.
effective. Like they do what they need. They do what they need to do to win football games.
I mean,
I
at
have
the end of
not
the
seen
day, that's the
Georgia.
most thing you can ever want.
I've seen Georgia go above and beyond once this year with their offense, and it was against Texas. And you can be like, oh, they scored a lot of points against Ole Miss. They scored a lot of points against Tennessee. They did enough to win those games. But like, I have not seen Georgia kind of blow a team out other than Texas. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. I still think Georgia pulls away. Um, but because I just also think it's really hard to beat the same team twice in a single year. Even though Georgia did it to Texas last year,
Interesting.
it'll be interesting to see what happens in this game. But knowing the way that these games go, I would not be surprised if we walk away with the SEC. Um, and then at 8 o'clock, once again on ABC in Charlotte for the ACC, we have Duke versus UVA. The biggest just chaos game that could happen. I'm going to pick Duke because it's the ACC, and I refuse to try and predict them because whenever I predict them, it just goes wrong.
Miami.
Cool. Um, and
Because you
then
can't
the
pick.
big game, the biggest game of the week, I think pretty easily. Number one versus number two for the Big Ten championship on Fox in Indianapolis, Ohio State versus Indiana.
How you
I have
feel?
Ohio State, but I think we keep it close.
Fair
I
enough.
think I think that I think the way that we win this game is keeping Ohio State grounded, making them run the ball. Because our run defense is I think it's like third in the country or fourth in the country. Both of these teams have very good run defenses, but Ohio State gets their success through the passing game. I think there can only be so much they can do on the ground, and if that stops working and the passing game, like we need to stop the passing game, which I know is so much easier said than done because they have two of the best wide receivers in college football. But I think that is the way that we win. I'm not too worried about the offense. I mean, Ohio State's defense is the best in the country, so there's only so much that they're going to be able to do. Like it'll be frustrating, but like that's just going to be how it runs. Um, I do think Ohio State wins, but I think they win close. Like I think it's like 27-24 or it's 27-20 or something. Like I don't think they're going to beat us badly. And that's going to be all I need to see. I'm going to need if this team plays close against Ohio State, they will be fine for the playoffs.
Yeah.
If they get their ass kicked, we might have a little bit more of an issue going in. But we'll get a first round bye, I think, regardless of what happens in this game. So it'll just be up to that. But yeah, I think I have Ohio State winning, but close.
I would agree. Like very close. But I don't know. I think it's
This
just
game is
because
going to
of
be good,
like, oh yeah. I mean,
no
it
doubt
is
about it.
it is pretty much gonna be the best game of the week. I mean, because it is the 1 and 2. So crazy matchup. I mean, like Georgia and Alabama will be good probably. Probably. I never want to make a stance, but like that because I thought the Georgia Tech would be good. But um, yeah, it's gonna be a really exciting game, and I'm very excited to watch.
I'm going to be very stressed while watching it, but it'll be fun.
I bet it's gonna be a stressful day for you.
I'm not too stressed about the SEC, if I'm being honest.
No, just the Iron Ball.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, that was Rivalry Week. Once again, banger, 10 out of 10 week. I thought this was as good as advertised for a Rivalry Week. Um, and yeah, so we don't really have much else to cover. So
We
you
just
will
got
hear
some
us
good,
next week.
yeah, good games.
Good
Potentially,
games,
hopefully
good
with a
fun.
guest.
Hopefully with a guest for us to cover the
I'll be at
playoffs.
home.
Wow. Um,
Yeah, because I
this will
have
cover.
online exams, so going home earlier. But we'll
Yeah, I
cover
don't go home until.
championships. Yeah,
Yeah, we will. We'll cover the championships. We'll talk about the playoffs. We'll predict all the bowl games. We got a lot to do next week.
and
But
a lot of just
once
like I
again,
feel like just talking next week because it's like 5 games we're gonna talk about, so just be fun stuff.
Um, once again, you know where to find us: Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Make sure to go check us out on all those platforms. Follow us on Instagram, as I said. And yeah, have a good week. Enjoy your post-Thanksgiving diet, as all of us try and work off the good food that we all ate for the week of last week. And yeah,
Lovely stuff.
lovely stuff. Had a pleasure. What a pleasure talking to the group, the great fans of the Red Zone
But they
podcast.
love us. The
They do love
droves
us.
and droves of fans.
Droves and droves of fans. But as always, I've been Nate Cohen, joined by my co-host Riley Davis, and that was the Red Zone podcast. Roll Tide, go Hoosiers, baby!
Bye.